the Thunder Bay Police Service hit with a massive lawsuit. The province takes a new step to address the First Nation jury roll issue. And Lakehead University's basketball coach takes a leave of absence. Good evening and thank you for being with us. A city police officer formerly responsible for the sex offender registry has filed a $29 million lawsuit against the Thunder Bay Police Service.
Constable Tony Gran claims the criminal code charges brought against her in 2010 were malicious, and she was eventually found not guilty. The statement of claim also names former Chief Bob Herman and the entire police board. Tara Allaire reports.
Tony Gran was charged in November 2010 with 11 counts of breach of trust while she was the sex offender registry administrator. She was found not guilty of all charges in March 2012. The $29 million lawsuit alleges there was a conspiracy in the police service to harass and overwork Gran so that she would quit her job. Gran's lawyer, Nancy Erickson, says her client's complaint stems from being the only officer in her department for 5 years, with a heavy workload and no assistance. She claims she was denied help when asked and forced to go through an extensive trial.
She's bringing the action because she feels that there was a malicious prosecution. She wasn't even interviewed before she was charged by any of the police officers. She feels that it was a negligent investigation. There was negligence on the part of the police department and certain officers, and there was malice involved in the whole situation.
Erickson says the trial took a toll on Gran's personal life. She no longer holds a job with police and remains on stress leave. Erickson says the publicity during the trial caused a great deal of problems for Gran's family.
Her husband has lost business because of it, and it's affected her children, obviously. There have been friendships that have been broken. Parents of her friends, some of them have made accusations that she was doing something criminally wrong and that she was evil. And of course, this has caused problems with friendships as well. It's been very, very difficult.
Thunder Bay Police have declined to comment on the lawsuit. None of the claims have been proven in court. Tara Allaire, TBT News.
The provincial government has taken an important step to ensuring First Nations people are equally represented in Ontario's jury rolls. At a news conference in Toronto today, Attorney General John Gerritsen announced the 11 members of a new jury roll implementation committee. The panel is co-chaired by Anishinaabe Nation Deputy Grand Chief Alvin Fiddler and includes Ontario Court Justice Mark Bode and former Treaty 3 Grand Chief Diane Kelly. Their goal is to implement the recommendations of former Supreme Court Justice Frank Iacobucci, who found glaring problems and omissions with jury rolls here in northwestern Ontario.
Made accessing the justice system.
Solutions for increasing First Nation representation on jury rolls can only occur, quite frankly, if we work directly with our partners, the Aboriginal community.
The problems that Justice Iacobucci talked about in his report are very real, and that it will not take just minor tinkering here and there to fix it. I think that's the commitment that we're making to the families, is that we will work very hard. We will honor the lives that were lost, and I just want to thank the committee members for agreeing to join us in this effort.
The underrepresentation of First Nations on jury rolls came to light during the coroner's inquests into the 2007 deaths of 2 Aboriginal people.
Thunder Bay Police are still on the hunt for a man involved in an attempted armed robbery at the Tokyo House restaurant on Sunday night. Video footage of the altercation with staff has now been put online by the restaurant's owners in hopes that the public will recognize the suspect. As Courtney Rutherford reports, those who managed to physically stop the robber are thankful they escaped with only minor injuries.
When I went there, I didn't notice that he had a knife, and then I just tried to control him.
Kenny Shee took matters into his own hands Sunday evening when a robbery occurred at the restaurant he serves at. Around 9 o'clock p.m., a man walked into Tokyo House on Arthur Street demanding money from the cash register and then proceeded to pull out a large knife. A woman working the till quickly shut the cash register, and she, without thinking twice, jumped in, using his arms to control the suspect and to protect his manager.
At that time, I didn't think too much because it was my first time and it was my manager's first time. So at that time, my mind was empty, but I think the reaction was from my heart, so I just went through. I didn't think too much, I guess. But I didn't regret for what I'm doing.
The suspect didn't leave with any cash and fled on foot. However, she says the customers and other employees were shook up afterwards. City police do have a person of interest, and their investigators are doing whatever they can to locate the individual and have the situation wrapped up quickly. Spokesperson Chris Adams says although no one was hurt in the incident, they hope people think twice before jumping into a scene like the one shown in the video.
Now, you don't always know every circumstance how it's going to work out, but the fact of the matter is property is not worth as much as your life, and it's certainly not worth getting injured over either. And as I said, having said that, we all have to make our own decisions when we're confronted by something as dramatic as that. So we shouldn't be passing judgment on these people either.
As for she and the other employees involved, they were left with some minor bruises and cuts. The manager of the restaurant is hoping by posting the video on YouTube, the suspect will be recognized and that whoever might know him will contact the Thunder Bay Police. Courtney Rutherford, TBT News.
A local curling legend is hoping for the safe return of 3 priceless rings. Tuesday night, Rick Lang's wife Lorraine returned to their home to find that thieves had broken in through a basement window. And in a strange twist, the only thing that appears to be missing are Rick's 3 Brier Championship rings. Those rings are from Lang's Canadian Championships in 1975 with the Bill Tetley ring, and from 1982 and 85 as a third on the Al Hackner team. According to Lang's daughter Sarah, none of her mom's jewelry or anything else in the house was taken. Lang is currently on a curling trip in China, but his family is hoping that whoever took the rings will return them, as they hold great sentimental value.
He was just more worried about my mom being home in the house and everything, but obviously he's probably a little upset that his rings are gone. I mean, they're kind of a big thing to win. When you win the national championship, that's the prize you get. And for anyone who plays any sports, that's kind of a big deal. So, I'm sure he wants them back, and, so we're hoping someone kind of does the right thing.
In a similar incident last month, Stephen Anderson had his Grey Cup and College Bowl rings stolen from his car on the city's south side. There has been no information on that robbery, and Thunder Bay Police say they don't believe the two are connected. The investigations into both incidents are ongoing, and anyone with information is being asked to contact police or Crime Stoppers.
The waiting list for social housing in Thunder Bay has decreased significantly, but still remains quite high. An update on those numbers were part of a very busy meeting for the District Social Services Board today. The DSAB also looked at enhancing security at the buildings it oversees. And as Dennis Ward reports, restricting the number of pets people can have who live in social housing was also a major discussion.
At one point earlier this year, nearly 1,800 people were on the wait list for social housing. But in the past few months, that number has dropped to roughly 1,200 people. The DSAB believes half of those on the list are currently renting, but nearly 20% are in shelters, homeless, or couch surfing. Acting CAO Bill Bradica says the wait to get into social housing is roughly 1 year.
We still are relatively low compared to most of the rest of the province in terms of how long people have to wait. Unfortunately, there's many jurisdictions in Southern Ontario where the wait is 7 to 10 years.
There is welcome news for many tenants out of this meeting. The board plans to enhance security measures at many of the properties it oversees. Nearly $340,000 was approved following a review by security consultants.
We actually did start as a temporary measure, some security patrols of a number of buildings, and we would like to continue with those and assess how well those are working, as well look at improving lighting around some properties.
A divisive issue at the City Council table was also on the DSAB's agenda. The board has asked administration to report back on possible restrictions on the number of pets a tenant can have. Vice Chair Aldo Roberto, who brought the idea to City Hall, says social housing is where this all started. Today, the board heard stories of people with 19 dogs and a woman who had 12 cats in her apartment.
If you have 50 cats or dogs in your house and they destroy your house, it's your house. You're paying for it. But when you have 50 cats and dogs in an apartment building, and it's public housing belongs to somebody else, and the destruction happens, well then, who pays for it? Somebody else does.
One of the things the DSAB will look into is the legality of including pet limits in rental agreements. Dennis Ward, TBT News.
Ontario's Minister of Energy says the Northwest can expect a major announcement next month regarding the electricity system in this region. Minister Bob Chiarelli was responding to questions at Queen's Park today from the leader of the NDP. Andrea Horvath says the Liberals twice canceled their plans to convert the Thunder Bay generating station to natural gas, and she says reliable power is necessary to create jobs here.
They can't do that if there is uncertainty over how they will meet their energy needs going into the next years and decades ahead. When, Speaker, can the people in northwestern Ontario expect this government's decision about the future of the Thunder Bay generating station gas conversion?
Thank you.
We will be providing an answer which will include very significant investments in transmission and generation in that part of the province, probably within 3 or 4 weeks, Mr. Speaker. So I would ask the leader to be a little more patient and be also mindful, Mr. Speaker, that any future generating plant in Thunder Bay will be used 6 hours per year.
Chiarelli also acknowledged a report from the Ontario Power Authority, which shows there is a large requirement for new power generation in the Northwest.
Today, 30 diverse Thunder Bay agencies united to form a community puzzle. The gathering was part of the Quality of Life Network's inaugural Community Awareness Day. The 30 agencies that are funded by the United Way set up at Intercity Shopping Centre. The information booths cover quality of life issues, food, clothing, housing, mental health and addictions, social justice, and more. People at the mall had the opportunity to visit each booth and learn more about the community services each agency provides. Participants were also able to collect a puzzle piece from each booth they visited, which would eventually piece together an entire puzzle. By bringing together all the agencies in one location, they hope to show the community the bigger picture regarding Thunder Bay's issues and solutions.
Every September for the past 14 years, over 100 Thunder Bay residents have gathered to take part in the Safe Walk. The event is hosted by the Kanachihi Solvent Abuse Treatment Center on D Street. It's meant to address and discuss the issue of solvent abuse here in the city. The hope is that people will start to work on cleaning up the community around them, making it safer and completely free of solvents. Safe Walk organizer Jessica Wilhelm says the gathering is not only inspirational, informative, and interactive, but it helps to show how serious the issue of solvent abuse is here in Thunder Bay.
I think it's very serious. Like if you take a walk around, you see a lot of littered bottles like that. You hear a lot of circumstances where people are stealing them from the shelf because it's cheap, inexpensive. And I don't think that people really honestly realize how much it is in our city.
We're working on those strategies. Our alcohol management program has taken 12 of the most marginalized people off the streets, and they're lessening the burden on our hospitals, on the police. And this is the same sort of program. It takes people that are marginalized, have issues, and takes them off the street, gives them a home, and helps them with their issues.
The event also included motivational speakers, a luncheon, and musical performances.
Meanwhile, another walk was held this afternoon for missing and murdered Aboriginal and Métis women. The walk is now in its 9th year here in Thunder Bay, and participants say the victims will not be forgotten. People came from as far away as Atikokan to join in the memorial walk. Co-founder Sharon Johnson says people come for many different reasons, some to support a friend or a family member. Johnson helped start the annual walk as a tribute to her sister, whose unsolved murder occurred in 1992.
Having lost younger sisters, it hasn't been easy at all. And but with this walk, yeah, it seems to be a little bit easier at times with all the support.
Johnson says it's a good feeling to see so many people come out to honor and remember the memories of the women who lost their lives to violence.